Hello people, and welcome back to the channel. If this is your first time visiting the channel, I ask that you check out some of my other videos. If you like any of the videos, I ask that you give it a thumbs up, and without a doubt I'm asking that you subscribe to the channel. Welcome back to all my faithful subscribers. It's been a minute since I've actually uploaded a video, but today I'm gonna talk about Jamaica prime ministers. Recently, a friend of mine, a non-Jamaican friend of mine who follows Jamaica's current affairs and its politics, asked me a question. And the question was, who do I think has been Jamaica's best prime minister? And in all fairness, without being biased, my answer was more like, I've lived in Jamaica and out of Jamaica at equal lengths. So if it's in regards to their political involvement, it wouldn't be fair for me to actually weigh upon that balance. But as a Jamaican who keeps an eye on my country, I do see what's going on politically, not in depth like someone who's living in Jamaica. But with that said, I could still give a sufficient answer, a personal answer, I mean, my answer may not satisfy you. You may agree with my answer and you may not agree with my answer. So here goes. And the reason why I decided to upload this on the channel is because this question that was asked of me, I'm actually asking you. But I'm asking you differently. Who do you think has been Jamaica's best prime minister, or who is your favorite best prime minister? So here's my answer. I was born in Kingston, Jamaica in 1971. That makes, when I was born, Hugh Shearer was actually the prime minister of Jamaica. I didn't know that. I only found that out after researching Jamaica's prime minister. I've never asked my parents, never seemed to be a relevant question to ask who was prime minister when I was born. So that I only found out after researching who was prime minister of Jamaica in 1971. So, in all honesty, in all fairness, other than pictures, I couldn't tell you what Hugh Shearer looks like. Throughout my life in Jamaica as a child, as far as I could remember way back, Michael Manley was prime minister. And I don't know if it's because I was a kid, but it felt as if Michael Manley was prime minister forever. It was like, it was all about Michael Manley when I was growing up and going to school. One thing I did remember about the Manley era, I did remember my mother being afraid a lot of times. She was afraid around election time, and she was afraid throughout the Manley reign, because as a child you overheard conversation and you can sense the fear in your parents' tone. There was a time that I sensed some fear in my mother's tone. I think it was when they were saying Michael Manley is in cahoots with Cuba, Fidel Castro. And I just remember it not being a very comfortable time. Even though I was a child, I could just sense like that thing in the air. So even though I was a kid and I had very little effect in politics, I would have to say Michael Manley was definitely not one of my favorite prime minister of Jamaica, or I don't believe he was one of Jamaica's best prime minister. After Michael Manley, it was Edward Seaga. I remember Edward Seaga being prime minister briefly, because it was during that time I migrated from Jamaica. I left Jamaica very young. But Edward Seaga was prime minister of Jamaica. I can't say much about Edward Seaga either. The only thing that I know is that time we left Jamaica. I went off my parents' reaction. I can't say my mom had any positivity or negativity towards Edward Seaga's reign. I just remember that her attitude during the Edward Seaga reign was different. She was more calm. Who else I remember as Prime Minister? I was actually living abroad when PJ Patterson became Prime Minister. And now I was of age. So not only because I was of age, I was very proud that PJ Patterson became Prime Minister. And the only thing that made me proud about PJ Patterson being Prime Minister, it was the simple fact that PJ Patterson was the first Negro, 100% Negro Prime Minister that I'd actually seen. I mean, when I review the history of Jamaican Prime Minister, Hugh Shearer was actually 100% Negro. But like I say, I was a baby. But in my time, you know, in my eye-opening time, I was very happy when PJ Patterson was Prime Minister, mainly because I was living in a country where it was majority Caucasian, and maybe I was just tired and fed up of seeing Michael Manley and Edward Seaga. I mean, even though Jamaicans come in all different colors, you know, our motto is out of many one people. You know, there's that prejudice, there's that invisible line in Jamaica where fair-skinned Jamaica or white-looking Jamaica thinks they're better than the Negro Jamaican. So I was tremendously pleased when PJ Patterson became Prime Minister. I was like, yeah, we got a black Prime Minister. Even though, you know, it wasn't a fair statement, because when it comes to Jamaica, it's not really a black thing or a white thing. We're all Jamaicans, but that was my reason why I was happy. PJ Patterson was definitely not my favorite Prime Minister of Jamaica. Why I didn't like PJ Patterson? PJ Patterson had an obnoxious attitude about himself. I just remember one particular incident that put me off PJ Patterson. I was watching television and there was something going on in Gordon House, which is the Jamaica House of Parliament. And I just thought when he put his foot up on the desk and he was saying to another member of parliament to shut up, man. I just thought, oh no, PJ, you just lost my whole fondness about you, you know. So that kind of put me over PJ Patterson. So where PJ Patterson is concerned, I've kind of have two feelings. I was very happy, still proud, you know what I mean, of PJ Patterson being Jamaican Prime Minister, but don't really like PJ Patterson as a Prime Minister in the other sense. So I'm talking about personality. Then there's Portia Simpson. I wasn't living in Jamaica. Oh, I lived in Jamaica sporadically when Portia Simpson reigned. Portia Simpson, I guess I should be really happy because she was the first female Prime Minister. But maybe personality-wise, I didn't feel Portia Simpson like that. You know, Portia Simpson, I believe she's known to be the people's Prime Minister, you know, because she kind of like get down with the lower class people, and you know, everybody called her Mama P and everybody was in that. But I didn't live in Jamaica long enough around Portia's reign to really say, to really get to know her, get to feel her, if you know what I mean. Social media was around, but you know, they ridicule Portia on the media more than anything else. They ridicule her illiteracy. They ridicule a lot of things about her. But attitude-wise, I didn't really feel Portia Simpson like that. Then Bruce Golden, I heard he was a Prime Minister. I even researched it and saw that he was a Prime Minister. Sorry, Bruce Golden, but your era missed me 100%. I couldn't tell. I couldn't say much about Bruce Golden, to be honest, because his whole era missed me. When I was told that he was a Prime Minister, I had to double check. Was he a Prime Minister or was he like the leader? As far as I know, Bruce Golden, he had created a party, an independent party in his own, and then I heard he came back. to the Jamaica Labour Party, but can't say much about Bruce Golding. And then there's Andrew Holness. Andrew Holness, without a doubt, is my favorite Prime Minister. Not because he's current. Andrew Holness is my most favorite Prime Minister because I see Andrew Holness as two things. I see him as Andrew Holness is my peer. We are 70s kid. I see Andrew Holness as a new age Prime Minister with new age idea. So modern Prime Minister with modern idea. And I think that works. But I think what stand out to me most about these Prime Ministers and how do I choose which Prime Minister is my favorite Prime Minister? Number one, they have to be doing what I believe they were assigned to do, and it has to be effective. So I do choose a Prime Minister as being the best Prime Minister by saying he has been the most effective to the country in a positive way. So that's why I say Andrew Holness is my favorite Prime Minister. I believe he's been most effective as a Prime Minister. He's the Prime Minister that say what he means and means what he says. Secondly, what I liked about Andrew Holness, without a doubt, you have to rate or judge each Prime Minister by their personality, by their attitude. If you look at all the other Jamaican Prime Minister, except for Hugh Shearer, which I don't know, and I missed Bruce Golding's era. All the other prime ministers, they're shouters. Michael Manley was a shouter. Edward Seaga was a shouter. Portia Simpson was a shouter. But Andrew Holness is very calm. Is very collective, and he exercised such intellect in his attitude. What I love about Andrew Holness is that when he interacts with children, I've seen broadcasts where he's interacting with school kids or youths, and even if it's a political ploy, it just comes off real to me. It seems like he's actually into that. He's actually believing where he is, while where other prime ministers are concerned, it's like, well, what time should we leave? Let's get this show over and done because we've got other things to do. Andrew Holness seemed very patient, very calm, and I love the fact that when he speaks, it's like his main determination is to make sure that the little people understands what he's saying. So I like the fact that he breaks things down in layman terms, but I also like the fact that he keeps things intellectual at all times, But more than anything else about Andrew Holness, I like the fact that he's a calm person, calm in personality. Sometimes I wonder, can you actually upset him? I mean, he's only human. I'm sure you can upset him, but he deals with things in such an intellectual manner. And what I do like, prime ministers, especially when they travel abroad, people viewed prime ministers as a representative of the people of the country. And over the years, the shouters, like I say, Michael Manley, Edward Seaga, Portia Simpson, when people meet them and when people greet them and when people talk to them and when people review them, people also review the whole Jamaica as that kind of people. I mean, let's face it, as Jamaicans, most of us, when we talk, we have to emphasize, watch any Jamaican news, watch any Jamaican program, especially when it comes to using big words. Jamaicans have to emphasize, this is the importance, relevance of the fundamental reason. This is how Jamaicans talk. But Andrew Holness shows that not all Jamaicans are this way. Andrew Holness represents us on a unique level, which is not so unique after all, because he represents Jamaica and he's a representation of other Jamaicans, because there are a whole lot of Jamaicans who are of that attitude, So I've always said to people, when it comes to Jamaica, you have to know who you're asking, Some people will meet some Jamaicans and go, oh, I've never met a Jamaican like you before. And then, you know, the answer is most like, well, I'm a Jamaican. You probably met a Yardie, you know, who believes that they should express themselves in a certain way. But Jamaica has common collective Jamaicans. Jamaicans have educated and confident Jamaicans. And I think Andrew Holness, serving for all classes of Jamaica, has definitely aced that. And on another note, look, Jamaica is improving. I mean, I've been to Jamaica in recent time, and I like what I see. Will Andrew Holness be my favorite prime minister for all times? Who knows? Maybe, maybe not. Let's see what the next prime minister brings. So my question to you is, who has been your favorite Jamaican prime minister and why? So that's pretty much it for this segment. Until next time, peace.